Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of the Self-Enhancement Podcast. I'm your host, Aman Kikibai, and today I have with me my good friend and co-host, Amir Samat.
Hello, guys. I'm so excited to be back on this podcast again. Excited to learn new things, and
let's get right into it.
All right.
So, this podcast is going to be talking about the main topic that everyone wants to know about, which is, does motivation kill productivity? Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about productivity and motivation in general?
So motivation is basically like the thing that makes you want to do something. So like if you have that like random feeling like how all of us have it, like at 3 a.m. when you just want to get up, do push-ups, work out, change your life forever, that you know how that just randomly happens, right? That's basically what motivation is.
Right. Motivation is basically like it comes from anticipation. It's basically like dopamine, right? Dopamine, when you get a dopamine rush, you get excited and you continue doing that same thing for a while, and then the dopamine runs out. It's kind of like lactic acid also. When you run super fast, you build up lactic acid and it starts being super painful, and then it goes away after all of a sudden. So motivation is really just there to hype you up like this, and then within hours just go away immediately.
Just vanishes.
Right? Motivation is something that has ruined a lot of people and productivity in general, because basically motivation happens through multiple types of things. Like, for example, you can get motivation from Instagram videos, TikTok videos, right?
Scrolling endlessly all day.
If you see so much like success and you want to start something, or if you hear like a quote or something and you're like, oh, maybe I should start today, right? Because you think you're behind now because you heard of one quote, and you'll be like, oh yeah, let me start doing something because now I'm motivated, right?
Exactly.
We don't want to go by that rule, because motivation is a key thing that will destroy you and your productivity, right? So I think that a lot of the times you have to take discipline over motivation, right? A lot of people will do things and just do it based off when they get motivation, but once again, like I said, that destroys you, right?
Exactly. Most people want to do it like most people want to do things when they feel like doing it,
right,
not when they have to do it.
Right.
So basically, that's basically what motivation is, when someone feels like doing something. But discipline is basically the complete opposite.
Right. Like, for example, there's I heard this one saying from someone, I forgot who it is, you guys probably heard. It's like, saying you're gonna do the thing is not doing the thing, right? Looking at doing the thing is not doing the thing. Thinking about doing the thing is not doing the thing. Telling somebody about the thing is not doing the thing. And it goes on, so on, right? It goes on forever. But you have to do the thing. You can't build up that dopamine or that motivation basically by hyping yourself up, by telling people, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make $100,000. I'm gonna or thinking about making $100,000. You can't do that, because all that's doing is you're playing with your mind and you're just giving yourself a dopamine rush, right? And basically with that dopamine rush is when you'll become productive, but you will only be productive for a certain amount of time. That's why discipline is a very key important factor in terms of your success and in general in a day-to-day life. Tell us a little bit about like discipline in general.
So basically it's just like discipline. You do it like you follow a curriculum, like every single day you do the same thing,
right,
or you try to do the same thing every single day, like working out,
right,
every single day you try to work out. Maybe like one day you have a rest day, but you don't just work out when you feel like working out. You work out every single day to keep up that discipline and keep up that pattern every single day.
Right. And discipline is it's a routine. Basically, it's just a routine that if you follow, you can master and achieve the goals and the schedule that you've basically laid out for the rest of the day, right? For example, on my phone, I have a schedule, right? And I have a schedule: wake up, do this first, right? Maybe check up on some business work, and then do prayers, go to school, come back, do some homework, check up on more business work, and just continue doing business and business and business, or whatever else someone else has to do, right? And if you continue to follow that plan that you've created over time, right, and you just continue follow, do the same things exactly on time, right? That's what discipline is. Discipline is being on time and being able to do the things that you said on time, and complete those tasks, right? So now if you can do those things daily on a daily basis, right, you will see such an enhancement in your life, right? You will see that you're being more productive. You'll see that you're doing things that you probably would never have done. You'll see that you're cutting out on things that maybe are not as important to you and should not be as important, like maybe scrolling on TikTok, right?
Exactly.
I mean, there's some things about motivation that may be good, right? For example, like starting a business, right? Let me go back to motivation here real quick. But for example, if you want to start a business, right, motivation can be good in this sense because it's like a little push, right? If you watch that video of, I don't know, a 15-year-old who started a business and now is doing 10K a month, right?
Yeah.
And that runs your mind. Your mind is running, right? Because your mind is thinking about everything that you're watching, your eyes, everything's like being processed in your brain, right? So when you get that motivation, that dopamine rush, that hit, basically like a lactic acid, basically what's happening is that you are kind of intending on taking action, and you actually do end up taking action, right? You take the action, you don't take it for too long, but you take the action. So what's good about this is that if you take that action to starting a business, for example, or starting a new sport or something from motivation that you saw, it will help you because one, the first step is always the hardest step. We've heard this everywhere.
We've heard that everywhere.
Everywhere. For businesses, first step is always the hardest step. You may see those images where it's like the first step is this big, and then so on, it goes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right?
Yeah.
Because once you complete that step of starting, it's all about learning and using tactics and achieving goals and taking over challenges, but through knowledge that you've gained, right?
Exactly.
And that knowledge is gained through the first step, right? So I really think that motivation is good to an extent, right? It's good if you want to start something and if you want to get through that first step, but it's not good if
you want to keep going on with it, basically.
Right, if you're just going to keep doing that, right?
Exactly. You don't want to just start something and then stop it the next day. You don't want to just wake up sometime and be like, I don't feel like doing this today. And the next day you're like, no, I want to do this. I want to be successful. I want to do this. It doesn't work like that. Basically, you're bound to be successful if you have discipline. Mm-hmm. You can't, there's a very few possibilities where you're successful with just motivation.
Right. We've heard this from a lot of other podcasters, Joe Rogan, from the Mindset Mentor, from some other podcasters out there. We've heard it from tons of people, but we wanted to just explain the importance and just kind of push it out there to you guys how it's very crucial for you guys to know about this topic and really understand it and not take it for granted, right? We really believe that everything should be a discipline in life, and you should have discipline in life. Otherwise, it's very hard to have success. It's hard to have a lot of things. You can maybe even lose friends by not having discipline. Why? Because, for example, being on time is discipline, right? That's part of discipline. Now, if I arrive to your house 55 minutes late or an hour late, what does that tell you about?
That shows me that you're not a good friend. And it also goes to keeping your word. So if you say you're going to do this tomorrow at this time, it doesn't matter how you feel when you do it. You have to do it. It's like just by keeping your word, you have to do this.
Begin.
And that's basically what discipline is.
Right.
And another thing to help you guys is to create systems, like a routine. And say you guys have a really big task you need to complete that day. Mm-hmm. Try to break it up into a micro task. And the reason we say micro task is because it's kind of like the dopamine effect. You feel good when you do small things. So if you have small tasks lined up for your day, you feel good after you complete each task.
Right.
So that basically just helps you go throughout your day. And the routine part, if you say you're going to wake up at 6:30 in the morning, then actually wake up at that time. And if you set a time for you to wake up at night, actually go to sleep at that time.
Right.
Because you going to sleep at that time make sure that you can wake up at that time.
Right.
So that's basically like how it goes.
Right. And just adding on, like, kind of the small little tasks that we talked about. The reason he explained a little bit how it's important because it's like the dopamine effect. But I want to add is it's like when you complete a task, when you do something that you are looking forward to complete, or something that you're working on something for a reason, right? You're not doing something for no reason. There's always a reason behind something, right? So now if you are doing a task and you complete that task, you'll feel joy, one, because you've completed what you've been, your mind has been running about in the past, I don't know how long. But basically it's really good because these little tasks that you do from that one big task that you had in the beginning, it allows you to motivate yourself. It creates self-motivation through those small little tasks, right? Those small little tasks are allowing you to slowly motivate yourself step by step, which each task would basically be a step, right? It's motivating you and pushing you to continue doing those tasks. Now, that's one good thing about motivation, is that you can kind of self-motivate yourself to become more productive. But at the end of the day, like we talked about, motivation isn't consistent.
It basically just comes and goes.
Exactly. Motivation, like for anything, honestly, it can be like this podcast. Motivation, we can have motivation on Monday and we want to do it so badly, but then we start doing it and we end up hitting a roadblock, or I don't know, we get tired or we just don't want to do it anymore, right? The motivation disappeared, right? We talked about how motivation only lasts hours, right? Minutes and hours, right? So once that motivation is now gone, you have to wait for that next interval of motivation. So that's something to keep in mind, as it can really affect you during your productivity and just having success. Something I want to touch on is a little bit about the sciences behind motivation and like discipline, kind of. Basically, like motivation, you have to have a good environment, right?
Like your surroundings, basically.
Right. I'm not going to get motivation from you if you're not doing anything crazy. You're not going to get motivation from me if I'm not doing anything crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's the same goes forth. But you have motivation relies around the things that you see, the things that you learn, the things that you witness, right? So if I'm witnessing him do a lot of amazing stuff, I'm going to want to, like, I'm going to get motivation to maybe do my own thing. So I think it's pretty cool and pretty bad for you, but it's basically your path to take. You can take that path of motivation, or you can actually take a strict plan, which is discipline that Amir talked about, which can actually help you long term. Motivation's not going to help you long term.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? So that's kind of the keys topics that we wanted to touch on in this podcast about motivation and discipline, and whether or not what you guys should choose and what is the best option for you guys. So obviously at the end, our conclusion would be that discipline of course,
is basically the way to go.
Right? Because discipline is a set schedule and a plan to keep you like, what do you say?
Like to keep you
on top of yourself, basically. Keep you on top of yourself about the things that you need to do, and you can consistently do it, right? Now, if you're the type of person who maybe lacks on a lot of stuff and doesn't even think discipline will work for them, because a lot of people may create that schedule but won't follow along with it, that comes from motivation, one. That comes from motivation because you're doing it based off when you feel like doing it. But if you're that type of person, it's very hard for you to gain that success, right? It's hard to enhance your life, and it's hard to enhance yourself and enhance the businesses you do and enhance anything else that you do in life. So choose wisely, and hopefully whatever you choose, go through with it fully and put your mind down 100%. Don't miss out on a day, and just do what you need to do, and you'll see the difference in your life from becoming from that 1% better each and every day that we talked about in the last podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It's like brushing your teeth every day, basically.
Right.
You know how we brush our teeth every single day when we wake up or after we eat breakfast?
Yeah.
The discipline should be the same thing. It's just following a routine or a plan that you set for yourself that's manageable for you to do,
Right.
and just achieving that throughout your. Hey, Aman, I think someone called Amesh commented on our last podcast. You want to read that out for us?
Yeah, so I actually have it here with us. Amesh said, wow, my mindset has definitely been enhanced. Now, we got this comment from Spotify, and we just want to say thank you, Amesh, for commenting. We really appreciate your comment, and we're glad that you have been enhanced through our podcast. And we really like these type of comments, and we like how people are being encouraged through us.
Exactly.
And we just want to tell you guys, if you ever have anything to say, come down, say it on our Instagram.
Drop a question, drop
or
something.
Any questions on our Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. We'll answer it in our next podcast. Otherwise,
it takes a lot of courage to be someone like Amesh to drop a question like that and say a comment like that. So we just want to say, like, don't be scared, don't be shy. Like, drop a question, like, subscribe, do everything.
I agree. And that's pretty much all we have for you guys today in the second episode of the Self-Enhancement Podcast. We hope you guys learned a lot from this podcast, as this is a really important topic that we wanted to touch on with you guys and express to you guys and tell you guys a little bit more about in an in-depth analysis. But basically, that's all we have for you guys today. We hope you enjoy. We want you guys to go follow our socials on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, right, where you guys will be watching this, and on Spotify at the Self-Enhancement Podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed once again. And stay enhanced, stay positive, and keep doing your thing, and never give up. And
stay disciplined.
Exactly. And we all hope you succeed.
Exactly.
Sorry.